friend. It's time for a new episode of the Freedom Pivot podcast. I'm your host, Hannele Korhonen. Today's guest is someone who knows the power of words and how to turn them into impact. I'm talking with Melanie Herschorn, a journalist turned book coach, about making the leap and how to write your first book with confidence. So if you've been dreaming about writing your own book, but doubts keep holding you back, Melanie asks the question that I think we all need to hear. Why not you? What if the book you've been dreaming about could become the key to your freedom? Here's Melanie. Hi, Melanie. So good to see you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome to the Freedom Pivot podcast. And where are you actually physically located?
I am in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm also, if you're watching, I have a visitor joining me. This is
Yes.
Marty McDog, who decided that today he's going to join us.
So cute. So cute. Well, I'm really excited about our talk because you have such an interesting path from journalist to becoming an entrepreneur and author and helping others publish their books. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself. How would you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, high level, what I do is I help experts take their expertise out of their brain and get it into a book, which they can then use as a strategic marketing tool forever. So that's the high level. And what I really love to do is help people realize how special they are and how special their story is and pull it out of them so they can feel confident to share it with others because that's how we're all going to make an impact in this world.
Yeah, for sure. Stories are so powerful.
It's how
What
we
about
run.
your own, what about your own story? Where did it start?
Oh gosh, my own story is it's a bit of it's a sort of a non-linear ride. So I started out in celebrity PR about 25 years ago, and after not loving the celebrity part of the celebrity PR, I decided to go and get a master's in journalism. And I then worked as a journalist. I was on the radio, an afternoon news anchor and reporter at an NPR affiliate in Pennsylvania. And then I decided that after being married for about 3 years, I wanted to have a baby. So I plan to have a baby in a non-election year, as well as anyone can plan to have a baby. And unfortunately, when I was 5 months pregnant, I got laid off. So there I was, unemployed and unemployable, as I felt. And so I was lucky enough to be invited to freelance at the local newspaper. So I did that for a year, but then we were moving to Arizona. And I thought, well, I have a baby now. I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to pay a nanny more than I'll make as a journalist. So, working from home, I started a breastfeeding clothing line, which was totally out of left field, but I had a tapping on my heart that I could not quiet. So I did, and I Googled my way through it. I ended up selling my clothes on Amazon, on Nordstrom.com, on in boutiques across the country. And it was 7 years of hard work and I loved it. But then I made a bad hire and I brought on somebody to help me with my marketing and she belittled me every single day until I felt like a shadow of my former self. And then it was a question of what now? So I closed that business and kind of looked at my history of what I'd been doing. And the through line was always to elevate people's voices in one way or another. And so now I get to do that. So I started out helping people with their marketing, and then it sort of evolved to helping people actually write the book and market the book. And this is where I love to play.
Such a unique story and so interesting. As you know, the name of the podcast is the Freedom Pivot. And what would you say was your like pivotal moment?
Oh, well, I think we
Of
just
course,
had
there were probably
several.
many, but what would be the number
But I
one?
mean, but I love this question because what was the pivotal? It's interesting. I don't think it was something that happened externally. I think it was something that happened internally. And it was probably about 2 years ago when I realized that I had other people's stories in my head that I thought were my stories. And when I finally let that go, I was able to grow as a person and grow my business too.
Say more. What do you mean by other people's stories in
Oh,
your
my
head?
parents. My
Oh yeah,
parents.
yeah, yes, yes. Breaking cycles, big time.
Yes,
Mm.
not throwing anybody under the bus, but well, to be perfectly frank, my whole family is professionals. They're doctors and mostly doctors. Some lawyers, some engineers, but mostly doctors. And so it was expected that not ever overtly, but it was kind of like, well, if you're not a doctor, like you're not going to really have much to say for yourself. There is certainly not one entrepreneur that I know of in my lineage. And that was kind of it was something that I kind of lived with and I internalized it. And it kept me small.
Mm. And what made you break free from that?
Well, the moment itself was when my dad said something to me that just gutted me. And it wasn't even like it was an offhanded remark that literally had nothing to do with me at all. But it was just, I took that, what he said, and I went, oh my God, I'm never gonna be anything if I'm not a doctor. And then I went, hold on a minute. Why? That doesn't make any sense. And then I started thinking about all the entrepreneurs in the world who are changing the world. I mean, just look at all the tech entrepreneurs who are changing the world. They're not, often in some hospital in the middle of the country, whatever. So I was like, okay, clearly this isn't even my thought process. I have taken it from somebody else and internalized it, and it's time to let it go. And there was a lot of crying,
Mm.
a lot of crying, but then I got through it.
Thank you for sharing that. It's such a powerful moment. And then, like when you describe that there are entrepreneurs who are changing the world, but you have been changing the world too with your clothing line and all everything that you did prior to that moment, of course, after that moment as well. You've been doing some big things.
Hmm. Thank you. I accept that. I take that in. Thank you.
But was that the moment when the books and writing became a thing for
You
you?
know, it was, I had already published my first book by
Mm.
then. Um, but I feel like if I could describe it as there was something holding me down my entire life up until that moment. And then for lack of, I mean, it would really created the freedom. When I broke through that, it created the freedom for me to grow and be who I am.
And what happened that after that in your entrepreneurial
I
journey?
mean,
Did you like
my
change the direction or?
yeah, well, yes. I mean, up until that point, if I can remember time frames correctly, up until that point, I think I had only been helping people with the marketing because I didn't feel confident helping people write the books. And then I went, hold on a minute. I hold on a minute, like rewind. There are so many books that people slap together and could be so much better. And now, I love AI. Like I could give ChatGPT a hug and kiss sometimes for the help that it provides me, but I would never write a book with it. I would never rely on it to create my thoughts. And and so I was like, wait a second. I was born to help people write books. It makes so much sense. And honestly, I mean, my business is skyrocketing compared to how it was before that moment.
Would you say, of course, the books and helping others to share their stories was like an opportunity for you, but I can hear that it's also an opportunity for those who are writing the books to kind of reclaim their freedom.
Absolutely. That's such a great way of putting it. I try not to be entirely about myself. I will be the first person to tell you I'm very vain, but I try not to have that impact my clients at all. I just, when I'm on Zoom, I like to look at myself and make sure I look okay. But the thing about other people's stories is I find them fascinating. I find people absolutely fascinating. And probably to my detriment, I end up sitting and listening to people talk to the point where when you have a recording on Zoom, for example, when you use Fathom or any of those recording devices and it'll tell you how long you've been talking, generally speaking, I'm at like 5% because I'm just listening so intently. And I find that there are some people who have really great stories and who are all about sharing them all the time. But then the really good ones are the ones where people don't talk about themselves until you start pulling it out of them.
And you have that magic.
I like to think so.
How do you how do you help them? Is that the way that you help people, that you sit with them when they tell you the story, or how does it work?
Well, sure. I mean, at a bar. It has been very throughout my life, over 21, of course. Well, actually, I grew up in Canada, so the drinking age was 19. But anyway, since I've been heading to bars as an adult, it's very common that I will strike up a conversation with somebody and they will tell me things that they've never told others. And they will say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. So it's always been something that I have loved is to listen to people. I mean, we have so much noise coming at us every single day. Just even just scrolling Instagram is enough to make your head spin. So when somebody sits down and listens to you, I think that that's probably one of the most special things you can do for a person is to listen. But all that to say with the books, right? When I work with somebody, I often, this is one thing I love to do for them is have them speak the book out to me in about an hour a week. We outline it together and then I sit and I ask questions. And so it's not a solo it's not a solo journey holed up in a cabin in the woods. It's a conversation and it makes it so much easier. And it is not uncommon where I ask a question and someone says, "Wow, that's a really good question." Because I'm giving them opportunities to think about themselves in a different way.
I can imagine that your background as a journalist is really helpful with that, coming up with great questions and also listening.
The journalism absolutely helps in terms of asking the questions. I'm not a nosy person by nature. I was as a kid, but then as an adult, I was like, that's not nice. But I know how to ask questions that are going to elicit the responses that people really are hoping to give me, but in a way where I'm not prying. Because if unfortunately, journalists don't get they don't have a great reputation sometimes. And I've always ascribed to journalistic ethics. I think that's very important. And I would butt heads with my news director because he would say, ask about this. And I would say, but that's not nice. I don't want to. And so I always approach it from the perspective of when you give somebody the space and the judgment-free zone, they're going to share more than they would if you're asking hard questions. All that to say is that yes, knowing how to ask questions is a skill, and journalism has definitely helped with that.
Yeah. I can imagine that there are many listening who would be really excited about the idea of writing their own book, but then all these fears and doubts creep
Mhm.
in, and I'd love for you to maybe debunk some myths about
Sure.
book writing. And
Okay.
yeah, what would be the number one
Oh
myth?
gosh. The number one myth about writing a book is that it's the number one myth is that it's not for you. Other people can do it, but it's not for me. I just, we're really good at talking ourselves out of things.
Yes. Yes.
So, I'm going to ask you the question that I asked myself when I was breaking free from that moment with my dad, which is, why not you? And when I asked myself that question, why not me? I said, hey, why not me? And then the next thing people say is, well, I don't really have anything interesting to share. And then they say, and I don't really have anything that other people haven't already said.
Yeah, does the world really need another book?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The answer is yes. The world does need another book if you have something that you want to share. So you kind of have to dig deep and say to yourself, okay, well, for example, I do a lot of work with attorneys, as it says it right there in my publishing. Anyway, but so I help a lot of people, but I do help attorneys. And so one of the things that they always say to me is, well, I thought about writing a book, but other people have written a book on estate planning, so why should I write one too? And then I will always respond with, well, how do you treat your clients differently? What's your special sauce? What are the things that you do? You've probably seen how it's done, but you made it your own. And then they say, okay, well, that's true. But there are other books on estate planning, so who cares about mine? And I then will say, if you are interested on a topic, do you only buy one book on it? No.
Exactly.
Never. You don't read one book and go, okay, I'm an expert now.
Exactly. And it's not about information, it's about your take on the information or how you apply it in your cases or with your clients. So it's the perspective that we need and that we
Exactly.
maybe buy in a book.
Exactly. And I'm gonna you put on my little marketing hat and say, if you want somebody to work with you, for example, they need to, and these are very overused, but know, like, and trust you, right? And so what does that really mean? Means they have to understand who you are as a person and why you're a good fit for them. And one of the best ways to create that trust is to write a book. And the trust is the hardest one to come up with, really. I mean, many years ago, I this is a funny story because it's not funny. Many years ago, I had this marketing program. I did all the right things to launch it. I did the open cart and close cart, which literally I have launch PTSD from, and I sent all the emails and I did all the lives on Facebook at the time, and 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 then I got zero sales. By the end of cart close, I had zero sales. And I had to really sit with that and go, why? What is it that I'm missing? And I realized that people, they knew who I was and they liked me because I can be likable, but they didn't trust that I would get them where I was saying I would get them to. And that trust comes from, I believe, sharing who you are and sharing your story, because that's what differentiates you.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
No,
But I
not at
think this is also very timely now with AI, and as you already said in the beginning, that AI cannot, I mean, it's so useful and it's so helpful, but then there is the human factor and the trust and the likability and all of that, and also the story that you are not, or I don't know how your clients are. Are they right? Do they want to write a very like fact-based books, or are they willing to share their own journeys and stories as well?
They're all willing to share.
Mm.
I can't dabble in the fact-based books because I mean it's like reading the phone book for those of you who know what a phone book is. It's not exciting. So I much prefer to bring the humanity into every book that I assist with.
And now that you mentioned marketing, is that something that you um, start from the story and then go into the book, like figure out what is the kind of the end game, and
Always.
then start thinking about the content?
Yes, that's exactly it. It's the first question I say is, why do you want to write a book? What's your goal? Who's going to read this book? Now, if people have come to me in the past with a already done book and we've changed who it was for afterwards, but that just makes it harder on the author. So, if you have a clear idea of who you want to serve before you even put pen to paper, that really helps in every way. And then once the book is published, then we can do the marketing and it's super streamlined because you know exactly who you want to reach. And it's not well, it can be this person or it could be anybody. My book's for anybody. No, it's not. Your book is not for anybody. It's not for everybody. It's for a specific group of people. And, I've heard it said that maybe it's you 3 years ago. Maybe it was never you. It's okay. But definitely hone in on who it's for prior to writing.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And it makes it also so much easier when you have a specific person in mind. Who is it that you want to tell that story to?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Totally.
Is this true also with your two books? Is this how you wrote them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my books are purely for marketing purposes and inspiration and marketing. They kind of go hand in hand. So I will do a little show and tell here with my
Yes.
book. So this is called Lasting Legal Impact. So you can guess who it's for.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Legal
not.
professionals?
Yes, it is for legal professionals. Exactly. It is not for HVAC professionals. They are not going to pick up this book because it is not for them. And so when I write a book, my goal is to help a specific group of people. And so with this particular book, it's to inspire attorneys to share their wisdom. And I interviewed a number of attorneys who have books to show what kind of great results you can get from writing a book. And so it was a fun project and I'm really excited that it's finally available. But my first book, which I will also show and tell from this side of my pretend office, is this was for authors specifically. Make a big impact with your book. So it's clear who it's for. It's for authors. It's not for people who never have a plan to write a book, which is why it was really difficult for me to get my mother to read my book because she said, I'm not going to write a book. Why do I have to read this? And I said, because I'm your daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she read it and said it was wonderful.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
But if you, because I see that and hear that you use the word impact. How do you define what is the true impact for the
Mm.
author and of course for the audience?
Well, first of all, I want to say no one's ever asked me that question. So I want to say thank you for that. Impact. I've now I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I have heard it said to me, well, impact is such a masculine word. And I don't think it has to be masculine or feminine. I think impact, yes, you could think of it like a meteor colliding with Earth. Great. But you could also think of it as a way that you are creating a ripple effect in the world. And, you know, we say, I had somebody really impacted my life in a certain way. And so that's why I use the word impact, because it could be taken in so many ways. It could be the impact on you as a person. It could be impact on your bank account. It can be impact on your clients or customers or your friends or family. It's creating a positive change in somebody's life or your own or both.
Do you have any real life stories other than yourself? Like examples of what kind of impact a book has had on
Oh
someone?
gosh, yes. Let me mine my files in my brain really fast. I have a client who is a children's book author, and we've been working together for 3 years. And when she started, she had an idea for a children's book series. She has now about 15 books. She does author talks at schools. She is featured in the media. And now she's working on creating her own community art space, all from one idea of a book. And it's not just a children's book, because sometimes those get a bad rap, because like every celebrity has one now. Her children's books are all about helping parents and children communicate better. And if you're interested in checking them out, it's the Bella Lucia book series. So it's all about Bella the elephant.
Oh,
And
great.
she
I'll
learns a
put that in the show
lesson
notes.
every she learns a lesson every book, and then she takes that lesson and she teaches a friend. And the way they are written, I gotta tell you, children's books are really hard to write. Like, I can talk to an adult every day of the week, but you have to sort of distill down very complex thoughts and make them very simple and easy to understand. And she has done an impeccable job, and she is making an impact on children all over the world.
Wow. There's impact. There's impact.
Mhm.
When you think about your own decision to start helping others, how does it make you feel to help people make such impact?
I don't think it was a conscious decision. It's just sort of been my purpose. It it's the most fulfilling thing for me.
Mm.
When I see others succeed, is so fulfilling, because if I was able to be that sort of launch pad for them, or that safe space that gave them what they needed to shine, then I've done my job.
Mm. You said that in the beginning, these future authors have so many fears or doubts, but then when you get going, is the voice of judgment still there, or do you help the authors to overcome that, or do they have some other challenges, or what's the process like?
I do help them overcome it, but often what happens is by the fourth meeting, they start going, "This is really fun." And I had a client say to me not long ago, I mean, I knew I'd been doing this a while, but I didn't realize what an expert I was. And then I just remind them, yeah, you are. Look at all the things you've accomplished in your young life.
Exactly. And it's so and I think that the key word, it sounds to me that the key word there is that it's fun. So that it's not like you have these money goals or this is how much, I don't know, this is the commercial benefit that I'm going to get, but it's a fun process and the impact. So those are the key drivers. Am I
They are.
right?
They are. And anybody who says to me, well, how many books am I going to sell? I say to them, I have no idea. I can't guarantee that. Also, most people don't get rich on book sales. I think I get $7 every time I sell a book on Amazon. And then I go, okay, yay, yay, I'm going to go to Starbucks and get a drink. But those kind of people don't see the value. And I can't help them.
Mm.
You can't help everybody, even if you want to.
Mm, for sure. What is your own secret sauce? How do you, what's your special gift that you bring into the process? You said about listening, is that thing or
It
is it something
it
else?
it is. It is. It's not just listening though, because anybody can listen to you, but it's mirroring back the things that you are saying and showing you it maybe turned in a slightly different way. When people talk to me, I will then they'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And then they stop talking and I say, "So, it's this." And I just distill it down to like a sentence. They go, "Yes. That's what I'm trying to say." So I think that, even though I don't have a really good way to describe that, I think that's kind of the secret sauce for me. Is I hear what people are saying and I'm able to distill it down and really explain it back to them in a way that's clear and understandable, and it makes them go, "Yes."
I can I can imagine how it feels, how it makes you feel, because then it's like you're seen and
Yeah.
heard. And then if you talk only 5%, they get uninterrupted time just to share what's on their mind.
Sometimes people say, "I feel like you're my therapist." But I'm not therapizing anybody. I'm not trying to, tell them, well, maybe you should do that. No, it's just about understanding their magic and showing it to them.
Yeah, and it sounds that the book is not the only outcome of that process.
No, that's true. It's, yes, you have a physical, tangible book, but you also have a newfound confidence. And, when you hold up a book and you go, "Oh my gosh, my name is on the cover of that." There really is no feeling to there's no way I can describe that feeling to you until you do it for yourself and you see your name and you go, wow, this is an incredible accomplishment.
Yes. You've come a long way since you were laid off from that journalist
Yeah,
job.
I sure have. I wasn't even a parent yet, and now my kids are in their preteens. Yeah, I've come a long way as a person.
Mm. Is an entrepreneurial journey something that you would recommend based on your own experience?
Well, I could never go back to working for another human. So yeah, I mean, you have to have certain characteristics. You need to be good with, you know, managing your time, and you have to be good with sticking to deadlines, and even just applying deadlines to yourself, even if they're arbitrary, just so you get things done. You need diligence and faith in yourself.
Every time I talk to entrepreneurs, they say one word and that is freedom, that is their that is why they are not able to go back, and that is maybe their why of being an entrepreneur. Um, is freedom something that's important to you too? And if so, what does freedom mean to you?
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Freedom is important to me. Um, but I was never one of those people who wanted to be a digital nomad and go sit on. I really like being at home in my pajamas. It's freedom to work in my pajamas.
Hmm.
I think that's really what it is. It's freedom to be myself and express myself and not have somebody telling me who to be and what to do. That's the freedom of it. I get to be me.
Mm. Oh, that's a big one. Mm. And if there are someone who is now listening and thinking about making a leap, or maybe even writing a book to help that leap, what would you say to that person who's listening right now?
I would say don't listen to the negative self-talk that's going to inevitably show up for you. Just thank it and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm going to be fine. And go ahead and do it. Do it.
Yes. Yes. Was there a piece of advice or piece of wisdom that you heard from someone when you were making that pivot?
I mean, many. I've heard many really helpful things, many really unhelpful things. And if you scroll the internet and you see all those quotes, I mean, I struggled with fear for a pretty long time. I don't think it's over yet, but fear, a reframe for fear is false evidence appearing real. And I think that actually, my sticky note fell off today, but here it is. False evidence appearing real. This is the one sticky note I have on my computer. And I think that's the thing, because as an entrepreneur, as an author, you don't know what's going to happen. Of course, the truth is nobody has a crystal ball. Even if you're a W-2 employee, you don't know what's going to happen when you show up at work tomorrow. But as an entrepreneur, there's a lot more flexibility in what's going to happen. And sometimes that can be scary, but it's okay to be scared. You know, if everything was so easy, we wouldn't appreciate what we do have.
Exactly. Yeah, I firmly believe that challenges are there too. They are there for a reason. It's not supposed to be always easy.
Nope.
And then we really have to think, do I want this? And how bad do I want this?
Yeah.
Is there first step, like first small step that someone could take if they are dreaming of writing their own book?
Oh, absolutely. So get out a pen and paper or open up a Google Doc and write down who this book is for and what your goal is. So your goal could be you want to start a new business or pivot in your business. You have a desire to help a certain group of people. You want to have a bigger bank account. Whatever your goal is, don't censor yourself. Just write it down. And then I want you to just sit quietly with yourself and think, okay, so what would be a good idea of a book for me to write that's going to help me achieve that goal?
Oh,
That's
that's
where it
so
starts.
helpful. That's so helpful. Very practical, but also makes you gets the process started.
Hmm. Hmm. And a lot of people get hung up on the how am I going to do it? Help. And I can tell you the answers. It's It's not rocket science. Like that's the thing. You don't have to go to 4 years of medical school to figure out how to write a book. So it's possible. It's absolutely possible for you.
That's encouraging. Before we wrap up, what are you currently working on? What are you excited about now?
Oh gosh, what am I excited? Okay, so I have 9 books going right now. And I'm so excited for each one of them to get published so that I can have 9 newly minted authors sharing about their amazingness.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And if people are interested in contacting you or working with you or
Yeah.
just hanging around with you, where can they go? Where can they find information about you? And also where can they find your books?
Oh, okay. Well, my books are on Amazon. And they're also on my website. Actually, my new book probably isn't on my website yet because it just came out, but it'll be there by the time this show comes out. And um, you can go you can get on my calendar, honestly. You could just go to meetmelanie.vip and
Hmm.
that's get on my calendar and we can talk about your book idea. And if you want to check out my website, it's yourbigimpactbook.com.
And I'll make sure that the links are in the show notes so that everybody can visit and learn more about you. Thank you so much, Melanie, for making the time to visit the podcast. It's been so wonderful to, and I'm actually starting to wonder if I should write a book.
I mean, you do have a podcast, so it just adds to your credibility and visibility.
Exactly.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.